Welcome to Hort Culture, where a group of extension professionals and plant people talk about the business, production, and joy of planting seeds and helping them grow. Join us as we explore the culture of horticulture.
Welcome, plant people. We got a guest today, Savannah Columbia, Master of Sciences.
Yes.
And we're joined, but I want, before we jump in with Savannah, who's been on the pod before, a friend of the pod, I want to ask two questions. One is a rapid fire lightning round, only the answer itself, no reflection. Favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Thin Mint.
Samoa.
Thin Mint.
I don't think they call them Samoas anymore, but I'll say Samoa as well.
Caramel Delights.
Caramel Delight, yeah. It's the mouthfeel.
Mm.
Brett?
Wait, was that your answer too, Ray?
Caramel Delight, yeah.
I would say...
Or Caramel Delight.
I would say Is the tag along the peanut butter one?
I think so.
They call them like
Maybe.
fudge or something. They've all become like commodities, except for Thin Mint. Thin Mint's been allowed.
They have a s'mores one now
despite
too.
the body positivity movement, we've allowed Thin Mint to persist, but Samoa now is something else.
The Thin Mint is a good one.
It is.
A question to go along with that, Brett, is what's your all's least favorite, which is a tougher one because I have no least favorite.
Probably the Sandies or whatever they're
I like those too. If I'm in an airplane,
Those were
mood.
the ones my dad always brought home from the
I
fire
like the
department.
Sandies,
Right?
too.
Everybody would like bring their list in, and my dad would be like, "I got us Girl Scout cookies," and they were always the Sandies. Yep.
Yeah, I like those too, though.
Don't worry, my husband, he gets a variety. I don't even want to know how much he spends.
The trefoils
I don't even
is
know.
the shortbread.
Oh, is that what the shortbread is?
Yeah, I'm looking up a cross section
Do
here.
you
Some of these I've never heard of before.
Put them in the freezer.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten the Thin Mints out of the freezer?
No.
Yes.
I don't know where else they would go.
In my belly, they never make it to the
You
freezer.
eat them fast enough, they don't need to be in the freezer.
Yeah, the
but
hard
like
part is
them.
getting out of the freezer after you eat them.
I like them warmed by sitting on my lap and me just eating them. And like I just
Store
pull
one
the
under your
sleeve.
arm to get it up to body temperature.
Yeah, it's like
before you-
Superstar for those who have an older vintage. Yes, just kinda, yes, like yeah.
So I have, I have
Question
another
two.
question completely unrelated.
Okay.
And this is more of a personal, I'm seeking advice from this. Wait, Savannah, did you tell us what your favorite was?
Thin Mint also.
Thin Mints. So we had 2 Thin Mints, 2 Caramel Delights, artist formerly known as Samoa.
Mhm.
And I said tag along the peanut butter ones, though I kind of think I don't agree with that. I think I'll
the
probably...
peanut butter ones are pretty solid, Brett. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Wait,
forgot
wait,
about
wait.
those.
There's 2 different kinds of peanut butter ones, though.
Yeah, I was going to say which
There's like
one.
ones
the
that
one
are covered
dipped in
in chocolate. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
then
peanut
there's
butter
one-
patties.
Like a peanut butter
one
patty.
that's like just a nice
Not the
cookie.
peanut butter sandwich, no.
The peanut
Oh, you don't
butter
like the
patty ones are
sandwich?
amazing.
They're fine.
The sandwich reminds me of a Nutter Butter, and that is a that's a good
Mm.
cookie.
Nutter butters are on point.
Yeah,
They are.
Nutter butters
I
are
think for
not
me-
safe from
For
this
me, and maybe I'll just save my other question for another time since this has clearly been fodder for some good discussion.
It's food, Brett.
For me, the question is, can I find a plausible alternative in the non-Girl Scout cookie cycle of the year? So if I can find a Nutter Butter and it's a good substitute, cool.
Mhm.
Don't know if I can find... So my mom does actually make like these Ritz crackers that are dipped in chocolate mint, and they are very for Christmas time, and they are very close to a Thin Mint in flavor, texture, all the things. So I think that's the question. Like, can we find a substitute?
Oreo.
They do.
Oreo makes a mint, like cream filling.
I think it's the Keebler, the other elves. We don't talk about those elves as much as we do Lord of the Ring elves. They make
other
like
elves.
a caramel delight cookie, I believe.
They do, and I
Yeah.
thought that they were
With the-
maybe infringing a little bit on the.
Right? It's very, very
territory.
similar.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Have you all heard of Adventurefuls?
No.
Indulgent brownie-inspired cookies with caramel-flavored cream and a hint of sea salt.
Is that
Sounds like a lot.
It's a Girl Scout cookie. That's
Mm,
probably
no.
regional.
Yeah, no.
Exploramores. This is apparently new as of whenever this graphic was created. Rocky Road ice cream inspired cookies filled with flavors of chocolate marshmallow and toasted almond creme. Lemonades. Boo.
Oh, I like those too.
Oh
They're
my God.
fine.
That's
Not a
right.
bad one.
Boo.
I mean, After I polish off a pack of those other cookies, I'm going to have gone to
Yeah, a
that.
little something lighter with a little lemon.
Yeah,
to
that's
cleanse the
right, Brett.
palate.
A little aperitif. Yeah, to cleanse the palate for the main course. Yeah.
Have you all ever been to a like a Girl Scout cookie pairing tasting thing, like with beer or with?
Actually, yes.
We
I have, yeah.
We have.
I was gonna say,
What-
did Jessica and I go together?
I
And
think
Ray.
yes, I went with you
We
guys. It's
all
been a
went
long time
together.
ago. It was at a
Man,
brewery.
our invite
Yes.
must have been lost in the mail, Sav.
That's
was-
been 8 or 10 years ago. That's been
Way
a while.
before-
Savannah
Mm.
was not legally able to
Probably
drink.
not.
Mm.
It was way before children.
No.
Savannah wasn't legally available. We just did not want Brett there. Got it.
I thought it was
Noted.
an odd concept, but I was the weird guy in the corner that
Yeah,
had
yeah.
that just
I
ate all the
remember that.
cookies. I was like, y'all have another place.
That was fun.
It was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yes, Brett. Yes.
I think those kinds of tasting things can be pretty fun, and they like that's actually a way that like I've seen like breweries and people use it as a way to get people in who maybe
Yeah.
otherwise wouldn't have
Yeah.
come and drunk some beers or other things like that. And I think we have seen over the last 15, 20 years this growth of the like experience economy, where it's not just the thing, it's not just a product, it's this other stuff too. And our guest today, Savannah, has recently completed some research. Well, not super recently, but in the last year has completed some research on some experience-based stuff related to cut flower marketing. And she's also a member of the CCD team.
Woo.
And welcome back, Sav.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really liked that segue.
It
I
was a good one.
That was
"Ah,
good. That
where
was good.
he's
I didn't
going
think
with
that was going to
this."
happen. I did not think that was going to happen.
Thank
but
you.
it
It's like
did.
breathing to me, you know.
Good job. He
Um,
just kind of floats one into the other.
Well,
Love
yes.
it.
So
Yeah.
Savannah, you did this for the thesis for your master's work. Can you just kind of give us an overview for the clueless people like me among us who are interested in what you did, and then maybe we can jump into some of the stuff that you found along the way and other stuff in the cut flower marketing world.
Yeah. So maybe I'll start with a little bit of background. So my thesis, the large goal of my thesis was to provide insight for farmers interested in agritourism, but specifically specialty cut flower workshops. And so looking at our consumer behavior related to the workshop as an experience good. So to back up maybe a little bit, we have 3 types of goods, right? So we have search goods, experience goods, and credence goods. Our search goods are going to be things that we can identify and like place value to, right? So in the food world, that could be any type of commodity like tomatoes. We can go to the store, we can know exactly what type of price we want to pay for that product, and
Girl Scout cookies, maybe.
Girl Scout cookies too. We
I
have
search and I
some-
find.
Yeah. So search goods are pretty easy to identify how we feel about them if we want to purchase them. Experience goods, though, are not as easy, right? So they are goods or services whose quality cannot be determined before purchase or experiencing them, right? So they have to be evaluated by the customer after they've been experienced. And so that was a big thing that we kind of focused on, our agritourism operations. UPICs, these cut flower workshops, whether they're on the farm or not on the farm, are all types of experience goods. We also have credence goods, which neither search nor credence goods we explored in my thesis, obviously, but just for reference, like a credence good is on the same line of an experience good where your value is placed after you consume it or take advantage of the service, but they're still kind of hard to quantify, right? Something like that would be like a hospital visit or a auto repair, for example. I won't dive too deep into credence.
Yeah, see, I thought when you said credence good, I imagined what they were selling at the CCR merch table. Big wheel, keep on turning.
Well,
Now
you know.
Now I know. That's
Now
good to
you
know.
know, Brady.
I
You've
have
been
crossed that out in my
educated,
notes
okay?
and
And
replaced
you
it.
were wrong, and now you can be
That's
right.
okay.
It's a lifelong
Okay.
set of experiences in that category.
Yeah, we're here to learn, right?
So what's an example of like I'm not even that familiar with like a cut flower workshop. Like that's kind of confusing to me. Like what are those or what do those look like?
Yeah, so cut flower workshop can take place on the farm or off the farm, right? So for our folks who don't necessarily want to open up their farm to customer foot traffic, they can still host a cut flower workshop in another place, whether that be an extension office. One of the cut flower workshops we surveyed was actually hosted at the Kentucky Flower Market. So it is a opportunity for customers to attend. It can be floral arrangement, wreath making, drying florals, starting seeds, things like that. So all activities where customers are kind of getting involved and doing things with their hands, right? Hands-on kind of learning, and they take away from that the experience they have during the event. And ideally, they will have a positive experience, and ideally, they will continue to have a relationship with the farmer because they cultivated a really cool experience there. But these experiences, whether they are our on farm or off farm workshops, along with U picks, they're all ways that customers can get more involved in the on farm aspect. That is really even maybe a little bit before COVID, but especially since COVID has increased on the consumer side. A lot of our consumers are wanting to go out and experience things on the farm that they might not experience in their everyday lives. So we looked at custom or cut flower workshops specifically because of the growth in the cut flower industry, right? So thinking about our census numbers from 2017 to 2022, the number of farms reporting sales in the census of ag increased like 60% from almost 7,000 farms to a little over 10,000 farms. And in the 2022 census, there was cut flower production captured in every state, which was really cool. And then thinking about, dialing into Kentucky, a number of cut flower farms has increased exponentially as well. So, the Center for Crop Diversification, we have that cut flower directory. So from 2020, that number rose from 35 growers to about 159. I think. So we're seeing a lot of expansion in the industry. And we have growers who are interested in selling, our commodity flowers, right? The product is going to be their commodity, but also selling this experience. So that was kind of why we got into this to look at, growers that are wanting to participate in both aspects of that.
Sav, would you say that most, or like, do you have a feel for how many of like Kentucky growers are doing some sort of workshop experience? Oh, is it half? Is it most of them? Kind of what's that look like? Do you have an idea?
Half might be a little high. And so I will back up for a minute and say I surveyed cut flower workshops in the late summer and fall of 2024. It's now like April of 2026. So back then, there's probably not as many as are being offered now, right? And our cut flower workshops aren't going to be, one every month or super frequent. Some cut flower growers are only hosting maybe 4 a season or 2 a season. They could host, as many as 8 if they have the interest and capacity to do so. And 8 is still a figure, but yeah, I think, an experience is a really great way to connect with our customers and foster a consumer lifetime value with them. So
that's just what I was going to ask Savannah was, did you dive into the motivating factors of why they were doing that in the first place? Was it to introduce people to the concept, or was it to market their products, or did you gain any insight there specifically as far as motivating factors?
Yeah. So we did a 3-part survey. The first part was before the workshop to capture, why they were there, and their patron characteristics and different things that kind of led up to their decision to attend the workshop. So in my thesis, I created a workshop experience map, right? And so it has 4 sections. The first section is our pre-decision variables, which is going to be our patron characteristics, which includes demographics, if they have attended a workshop before, if they had heard of the host farm before, things like that. Also price, location, and location being on or off the farm, and travel distance. And then they move from their pre-decision to the yes or no decision. We didn't look at anyone who obviously who said no. So everyone said yes. But then we have our second piece of the map, which is the actual workshop experience. And we asked our survey respondents, have they, did they enjoy the workshop? Did they, what was included in their importance level of those things that were included? And then we looked at some post-workshop experience behavior. So that's the last piece of the map, which is how they interacted with the farm after the workshop took place. And that was a 4-week follow-up. And I will say 3 surveys is a lot, but it was really helpful to gain the information from those customers right before they experience the workshop, initially after they experienced it, and then 4 weeks post experience. I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I think I might answer your question. So what was your question?
I was going to say
what we found.
Yeah.
Yes. Some really interesting stuff.
Some good stuff, okay?
All of this stuff, if you want to read all 152 pages, you can. No. So we worked with 9 flower growers in Kentucky and in North Carolina to facilitate this survey. And that kind of gave us a really good indicator of both urban, rural, and a touristy attraction. So that will come into play when we think about location. But we found that in regards to age, so when we think about other studies that have been done, right, in customer purchasing habits of just flowers in general, most often it's going to be people that are a little older, that have a more disposable income. Often it is women buying flowers for other women, or women buying things as gifts for holidays and things like that.
Queens supporting queens.
Yes, you could say.
Take note, guys. Take note.
Hell yeah.
Or
Ray, I'll buy you flowers, babe.
Thank you, man.
There was
Just
a
hit me up with
category.
that.
There was a category in one of the surveys the research studies that I was reading, that apology gifts were included in there. So holidays and apologies.
Now the drama ensues. Okay.
Was there any?
Okay.
Did you find support or rejection of the Bruno Mars hypothesis that one, in fact, should buy oneself flowers?
You could. People do that.
You should. You
Wasn't
totally
that
should.
Miley Cyrus who said she was going to buy herself
Yeah.
flowers?
I
I should have bought you flowers.
Ooh, he should have.
Is it? I can buy
Yeah,
myself
he
flowers?
should have bought somebody flowers.
Miley Cyrus. Sorry.
That's my.
I am like
Please,
fitting
Brad.
this mold. Everything you're describing though so far, because
I was
I
gonna
am
ask-
one of those people. I have purchased the experience for somebody to go do the flowers as a gift, and now they purchase from that farm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're,
So
you're,
it's
the, you're
like-
the hookup. You give them a little taste and get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems
First
like
one's free.
there was a rise of that. When did that come about? I first started hearing that term 8-10 years ago, or maybe I first started paying attention to it, that kind of experience-based gift giving. There was definitely a rise of that at some point when it was not a thing back in antiquity in the 1900s.
People
I
don't
can never
need more
remember that.
stuff. They need
Yeah.
experiences.
There you go. Yes. And that's exactly how I first was introduced to that. So that seems like, Savannah, that kind of ties right into some of the information it seems like you were dealing with.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of background information on people wanting to experience, things outside of their normal life itself, right? So, participating in a U-Pick or going to spend some time on a farm, but also just any kind of experience, in other aspects of entertainment or life, right? So when I think about, I would rather go to a show and have a memory of a show and see something cool like that than maybe get a new shirt for my birthday or something.
But when you go to the show, Savannah, I know you're getting the new shirt, so don't say
I
that.
could
Getting the
also
shirt
get a new
about the
The
shirt.
concert shirt, yeah.
I
Yeah,
can
but
have my
experience-based
cake and eat it
stuff,
too.
yeah.
Can we conduct a follow up, a little focus group on this group of 5 people? And I'm curious, do you all identify as consumers who would engage in the workshop based activity? Like that would be valuable to you? Do it? And because I have, and the answer, if the answer is no, that's okay too.
It depends on if I was the one initiating it or someone purchased it for me. I would be more motivated to not waste an experience that someone else purchased for me. I would probably be more likely to do that. So the situation would be important for me. Like I would maybe not be as motivated to step outside on my own to get myself something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, I love a good experience. Heck yeah.
I mean, I wonder if there's a little bit of bias here as people who run workshops all the time. The last thing we want to do and oftentimes
Attend a
is to go
workshop.
and be not even in control of one.
Yeah.
I think that's what sometimes, because where we come from this kind of world, we take for granted, like, oh, going out, like that people think that's fun, right? We didn't sound that way.
You say it in a certain way, Jessica.
No, you know what I mean?
So you think that's fun?
Oh, is that
Like-
fun to you?
If you're cutting hundreds of flowers all day long and it's 90 degrees
Oh,
and,
yeah.
all
Yes.
of this stuff versus like I said, I did this for a friend last year for her birthday
Yeah,
and she
exactly.
was just blown away
Yeah.
by that, and, so I think that's the difference when it depends on who you're asking about,
Yeah.
like, and I
It
would
took me
agree
a
with
second.
Ray.
Yeah,
Like-
it took me a second because I was like, what workshop would, like, what's the thing I'm interested in that I can't really teach myself?
You're
And,
going to
like,
go to a
like-
pasta making class. That's what you're going
Right,
to
like
do.
that's a workshop. I was thinking stained glass, like making something
Yeah.
stained glass as a workshop.
Specialized.
So like
yeah.
I had to reframe it in my brain there for a second. But yeah, I think workshops, an experience specifically like a workshop would be something that I would buy for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah, what about you? Well, you said sort of, already that you go to the show or whatever, but is that carry over to the workshop? Not necessarily cut flower, but other things too?
Yeah, I think if I'm looking for something to gain a new skill on, right? I'm a hands-on learner. I do know that about myself. That's a great way to learn. So I would.
Ooh, Savannah and I made cutting boards that one time. That was basically a workshop.
Did.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I am pretty aggressively and defiantly not a workshop person.
Surprising a little bit, Brett.
And
There
I
are
think
detractors.
the reason that I say that is that we may have some people listening who have a business and they don't think people would come to their workshops, and they think that because they themselves are not workshop people. And it's something I've said a million times, said it a lot recently, actually, for whatever reason, is that you may not be your customer. You may not have the same interests as your customer. And I think that that's why research like Savannah's is really important, is because it gives you insight into people, like a broader customer base.
Yeah,
that
something
is in
beyond
fact
an
interested
opinion.
in this
Yeah.
stuff. Because if I was building my business for just to serve me, that would be a terrible business, because I'm a bit of an odd duck in many ways, and it's much better to think about asking and doing a little informal, Zoom call, focus group, grab some drinks, buy a round of drinks for people who kind of are different from you. They maybe have kids if you don't, or they don't have kids if you do, or they tend to frequent, different types of businesses besides what you're doing. Because like the target, do you have a sense of, and you may have touched on this a little bit already, but a sense of like who the target demos are for some of these workshops, Sav?
Yeah. So speaking just on the respondents to my survey. And thank you all, if you're ever listening, that completed my 3-part survey.
She now has a master's degree.
All
Thanks to
three
you.
surveys.
Yeah. So our age was a little more evenly distributed, right? But our population, and we had 88 people who completed the first survey, but it was overwhelmingly a group of white women, with over half their income in the bracket of $100,000 and above, which was actually, I was surprised by it at first, right? Just because it was interesting, and it is
That's
different.
household income.
Household income. Yeah.
So it could be two, or two
Yeah.
people.
Yes. It can be, more than just one person. That was household income. We did ask the number of dependents that were in the household. We did never link those two together, but I mean, could if somebody was actually interested in that. But it is quite contrast to the state census in both Kentucky and North Carolina. So that was really interesting. And I think it could also lead our, growers to think about that, our customer income demographic and how much they're pricing a workshop. We had workshops in a variety of price ranges, but 75% of the surveys, of the survey respondents paid somewhere between $25 and $99 for their workshop. However, because of the customer base, a grower could charge more. And some growers definitely did. There were a couple workshops I attended and surveyed that were over $200.
And all of these workshops, it's not like they were just coming to learn about things. They were actually taking something away with them. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And it workshops vary in regard to the presenter and the way that they carry themselves and work through the audience and things like that, and in the way that things happened. For example, at one farm, we might have heard about the farm, done a little farm tour, and then put our arrangement together. At another workshop, we might have not been on the farm and, still heard about the farm and then just put our materials together. So they do range in activity, what you might be able to do. But yes, everyone was able to take home their product, which was important to people. Some workshops offered drinks and snacks. Some workshops offered alcohol. Interestingly enough, that was not important to people. So we did ask, which, that's fair.
It's good to know.
No, that's good to
That's
know,
very
though.
good
Don't
to
waste
know,
money
yeah.
on food
It is
and
good to
drinks
know.
if it's not that
Exactly.
important.
That's a very good thing to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we looked at the things that were included in the workshop. That also included photos, whether that was, the grower taking some and posting them or sending an email out, and they rated their importance. So we kind of were able to identify, right? Alcohol wasn't very important. While a few people appreciated it, a grower might not want to spend the money on it or go about the, rules and regulations that may come with that. Food wasn't super important either. So while it might be a hospitality thing, if a grower didn't want to stress about that, they might not have to. So that was interesting to take away. Some of our survey respondents liked the photos, and we can probably correlate those with some younger people who like to post things online. But also, that would be a great way to market the workshop, right? So a lot of our experience goods are communicated through word of mouth recommendation, whether that's you hearing about that experience from someone else. You can also hear about that experience, online through digital social media platforms. But overarchingly, our customers heard about the workshop through someone else. And that is all marketing that the grower doesn't necessarily have to do, right? Because they're relying on other people to spread the good word. So that was a big key that we pulled out there. So, growers should create like an experience that is worth our recommendation and to talk about, because a lot of our survey respondents, and we were able to capture this in the third survey where we asked people if they had recommended the workshop, and we looked at the numbers that said yes, but while they may not have shared like the social media platforms of the farms or posts that the grower has made, they did recommend the workshop to a friend. We were not able to track, whether that friend bought a workshop ticket or, if they did anything with that information. But it was really cool to see that, they were sharing that knowledge with and their experience with a friend, because like the best way to market as an experience good is through conversation with other people and through someone else's lived experience. While it can be biased, I mean, we should note that like my experience is not, Alexis or Jessica's experience. Everyone's experiences are inherently different. But that is how experience goods are marketed though.
Do you have a sense of whether people prefer to have something like on farm versus not? Like, is it worth
I was
having
wondering about
something
that.
off farm,
Mhm.
or do you, really need to try to have it on farm? Like, do you have a feel for that?
So we actually, this was surprising to me. We were not able to make a clear consensus of that. We asked consumers how important it was for the workshop to be held on the farm, right? Because there are some people who would prefer to have their workshop at an off-farm location, but we were not able to pull any meaningful data out of yes or no. And I don't know if that is because a majority of our workshops did take place on the farm. We had 2 workshops that did not, but we still weren't able to pull anything from that. So I don't have a clear yes or no.
So maybe that wasn't like a
on the other
defining part of
hand,
the
if
experience.
a grower did not want to host something on the farm, it is possible for them to succeed, without being on the farm, because there wasn't like a 75% said this was important to me or else I'll not come,
Can I riff on that? So one of the things you said earlier to me comes to mind. So I'd imagine if you're going to have an off-farm thing, you're probably going to have some sort of additional cost associated with the facility, unless you sort of have a relationship with a local business who's trying to bring people in alongside your workshop, which could be something that could be cool. But if you said most of the respondents are in that 100,000 household income and up, and those, as they are across the country, across Kentucky, they're clumped. They're not all evenly distributed everywhere. And so it could be part of your decision matrix is how much was it going to cost to have it off farm compared to, am I going to get closer and more convenient for some of those richie riches? And I looked it up real quick, and I think 100,000 income is like roughly the top 20. That's the cutoff for the top 25 percentile of Kentucky. So the top quarter of incomes starts at 100 grand. So, it's 1 in 4. It's not, 1 in 1,000 as far as, incomes in Kentucky, but it's, in Kentucky, the median income is lower than it is in other parts of the United States. So that to me, it's an interesting finding of like, we're not really sure if the on-farm, off-farm thing, and that doesn't necessarily surprise me for some reason. Because I think it's like a very particular person who wants a like authentic on-farm experience, as opposed to the experience of making a bouquet or learning the skill or
almost like a subset of a subset.
Yeah, I think that people want a taste of agriculture. They don't necessarily want a whole helping.
They don't want the mosquitoes with it.
So that's a really interesting set of findings in combination.
Yeah, I mean, because you could offset that with your distance traveled. Distance can be a barrier for some people to attend. So thinking about hosting in a more urban location could offset the cost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
just
think about all the other like liability stuff too,
Mhm.
like of
Mhm.
having it at a venue versus on farm. Like thinking of just like events, like we have at the extension office, like of where you want to host different things changes. Like you said, their audience, but just that's something else that goes into it too. Of like, are people gonna stay where they're supposed to stay,
Yeah.
or are they gonna venture off somewhere else? Versus if they're in a building that you rented, and you're
Yeah.
demoing something. So
Yeah, or even
little
like
easier to control the environment.
yeah, or even like access to like bathrooms or seating. There was
Right?
one
Yeah.
workshop I
Yeah.
went to where we stood and for me that was okay. For some people they did make a note that like
Yeah.
they would have preferred to sit. And considering
Mhm.
the age of our, survey respondents, that's not crazy.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to think about. A venue or a location that has some of that stuff included, you wouldn't have to have people, entering your house using your personal bathroom or, renting a porta potty or things like that.
A lot of farms just aren't set up to entertain and host these kind of workshops.
Yeah,
I've
they're
found.
set up to farm. Yeah.
Yeah, they're set up to farm, and they may not have ADA accessible bathrooms or flat surfaces or seating. But you started mentioning some things that kind of surprised you, I guess, along the conversation that we've had here today so far, Savannah. But anything else that really stood out about all the work that you did on this project that kind of was surprising to you? I mean,
Yeah, I think some big takeaways I would say would be for growers to really utilize the word of mouth. Encourage your customers to promote your workshop and maybe leave recommendations, things like that. That's going to be key to helping others make that decision to attend a workshop. I also we looked at likelihood of recommendation. So there's a net promoter score that we've all probably participated in, in once in our life, and it usually goes something like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend XYZ to a friend, right? Whether it's an airline, Kroger, whoever it is that we just bought something from, but they
big
will.
two, airline and Kroger.
I mean, you gotta cover your bases.
Sav's got a trip on her mind, and she's got to go get groceries.
First
Going
starts at the
someplace.
grocery store.
it's called road snacks, Brad. Road snacks.
Gotta get my snack Cheetos.
Quest chips.
Yeah. But our net promoter score can be a really good way to identify how satisfied people were with our product or service. However, that's all intentional behavior. It is not their actual behavior. So we were going to use the net promoter score, and so when people fill out the net promoter score, it's on a scale of 1 to 10. There are detractors, so people who will not recommend, they didn't have a good experience. There are passive people somewhere between 7 and 8 who may or may not recommend. And then you have your promoters. These are going to be the key people that will generate additional, ticket sales or revenue for your business. And everyone, for the most part, was a promoter. So they answered 8 or higher on, how likely are you to recommend a specialty cut flower workshop to a friend in their intended behavior. So that was captured, right after the survey when, their post-workshop endorphins could be high. When we surveyed the same respondents, their actual behavior was not as high. That's not scary. That happens. It happens all the time, right? Our intent versus actual behavior is never going to be the same.
Yeah.
We see that, in experience related agriculture things and in regular everyday life stuff. So that was interesting to kind of see for myself in first person. So I did go out and attend all of these workshops, and which was really fun. But and collect this data. So that was interesting to see for myself firsthand how the intended versus actual behavior played out. I would say that a net promoter score or something similar can be a good gauge to see where your customer base lies. But I would consider using other tools as well to gauge, how engaged they are.
Ain't you engage the engaged?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate you joining us, Sav. Before Alexis takes us out, I do want to just clear the air and issue an apology to the Smilers and the Hooligans. Those are the fans of Miley Cyrus and Bruno Mars.
Brett, I cannot believe.
Earlier, I made a big snafu. I came in like a wrecking ball and I uptown funked it up.
He's been looking
working on this for the last 30 minutes.
He's not paid any attention to you, Savannah.
I feel like I had a very strong insight about Savannah's location of the workshops earlier.
He was locked in early.
He read my abstract.
But it's been really cool to see you, Savannah, work through this process, design the instrument, get to know the cut flower community. And now, I mean, I think you are one of the people in the extension system that people come to for questions about, especially, about marketing cut flowers. And you've recently done a couple of different workshops for growers and for agents about setting up irrigation stuff, but also some visual merchandising, how to put bouquets out. And it's just been really, really cool to watch your growth through the experience of doing this work and collecting this research. And looking forward to being able to do a lot more together. And because as you pointed out, with those 2017 to 2022 numbers, the growth has been staggering. And it's just been really cool to feel like Kentucky's really out ahead on supporting those small cut flower growers. So
a real quick question, is this going to be available like publicly at some point in the future?
My thesis is already published on UK Knowledge.
Gotcha. UK Knowledge. So readership report will grow.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'll be watching my Science Direct link or whatever it's called.
Yes. It is always fun when you look at all the work you've done over your career, just the numbers pop, pop, pop. Awesome. So people have access to this. And how would they look it up if someone wanted to find this, Savannah? What would be the best keyword search? Or
I do have some keywords written in. Let me scroll down.
We could probably post a link to it.
Yeah. It has a direct
it does have a direct
link. It has a direct link. But my keywords were cut flower workshops, experience goods, net promoter score, consumer lifetime value, panel data, and agritourism.
Yeah, I usually will just search like Savannah Columbia UKY thesis and
comes
usually
up.
comes up.
Yeah. And as Alexis said, if there's a direct link available, we'll definitely put that in the show notes.
Floral encounters, examining the role of experience goods, and next line, promoters and specialty cut flower workshops by Savannah Columbia.
Awesome.
Thesis titles, they're always the longest thing ever because you're like, I'm very specific.
But it allows discovery. It allows discovery to be much easier. So.
Floral encounters sounds so flirty.
Encounters.
It's whimsy. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any questions on marketing flowers, you can find Savannah on the Center for Crop Diversification website under people, and you can email her and find her there. And I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you and walk through some stuff. We recently had the question on doing some marketing for seasonal weddings. So shout out to Becky. I know you listen.
Yeah.
So we're happy to help you out with any of that. But you can also follow us at Hort Culture Podcast on Instagram. You can shoot us an email. You can find that in the show notes as well. If you've got questions or ideas for new topics for the podcast, we want to talk about what you're interested in. So tell us what you want to know, because we know that, we're probably nailing it, but just in case, we're open to the people, right? We're not too high up in there. But we appreciate you all being with us today, and we hope you'll join us next time. Have a great one.